I'm CM Coleman. Welcome to my home. Today we are making toaster pastries. I will admit this is one of my biggest weaknesses on the face of this planet, toaster pastries. And I will go out and buy them occasionally, but I found a recipe that I can make them and no longer have to buy them. It's so simple. These that we're going to make these cinnamon brown sugar or cinnamon sugar ones, but you can use brown sugar instead. Really easy. It takes no time at all. You can follow along with the directions, and I'm going to make this really quick. You're going to be amazed. This is just 1.5 cups of flour, a fourth of a cup of shortening, and then this is a fourth of a cup of softened butter, a pinch of sea salt. Now if you're using regular salt, you can use how much regular salt you would normally use, but I found sea salt is great. Now I'm just going to take my pastry blender and just blend this up. You want to work this until you get fine crumbs. Once we get a nice crumb-like texture, I'm going to show you my secret ingredient. This is 1 tablespoon of vodka. I'm going to mix that in. 2 tablespoons, but we don't know how much we're going to use of just plain cold water. Add that in there. And I'm now mixing this in with my hands. We want to get this until it forms a nice ball that actually holds together. And how much water you're going to add is going to depend upon your day. Is it dry? Is it wet? Today it is nice and cold, and the air is pretty damp outside. I'm going to add a tiny bit more. There we go. My dough is now forming. It's a nice ball that is holding together. I'm going to lightly flour my board. Alright, so it's a little bit heavier than light. Try to make this as even as you can, and I like to flip it over every once in a while to make sure that I'm not sticking or anything like that. We're at about 1/4 of an inch there. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to run that up here, and I'm going to run it the size of a double piece of a toaster pastry. Then run it across. Now I've got prepared pans. These are just lined with silicone mats. I'm going to scrape up my toaster pastry and put each one onto the mat. Now some of you are going to find that you have no problem rolling out dough. I'm not the world's greatest dough roller. I will admit that in a heartbeat. Now that we're pretty cleaned up, the easy part, and I mean the super easy part. I have 1/2 cup of sugar. You can use brown sugar, you can use whatever you want. Then 1 to 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I'm using 2 teaspoons because I love the taste of cinnamon. Absolutely adore it. It is great. Now here's the cool part. I'm just going to take this with a spoon. Try to stay back about 1/2 inch from the, 1/2 inch to 1/4 of an inch from your toaster pastry. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some water, and you can brush this or you can use your finger to just run around the edge of your pastry. Once you have it around the edge, I'm going to put the 2 pieces together. A lot of people like to use a fork to seal it. I have my oven preheated to 425 degrees. Once everything is sealed and put together, we only did 3 of these because we're going to save some time. I'm going to put it into the oven for approximately 7 to 8 minutes until it gets really lightly done. You don't want to go golden brown with these because if you're going to reheat them later, you want it to be done, but you don't want it to be golden brown. Alright, while our toaster pastries are baking, we're going to make the glaze. I always make this in a separate container so that way I can glaze these just separately. And I also do not make it with milk because I can keep this around for a really long time. What's really cool about this is, if you're wondering what this is, cinnamon vodka. Yes, that's right. I'm just going to add a little bit of cinnamon vodka to a cup of powdered sugar. Then add a little bit more. That was about 2 tablespoons. You can add more, you can add less, you can use other flavored vodkas. And the other thing which I have found is you want to make this a little thicker than what you think it needs to be. You can always thin it down, but it's hard to make it more thick without adding more powdered sugar to it. This is the secret to a true wonderful sugar and cinnamon toaster pastry. I'm going to give this a taste. The frosting has everything to do with it. It makes it taste so much better. So then I'm going to put the lid on this, and I'm going to keep it in the refrigerator. And like I said, we'll come back once our toaster pastries are done cooking. Alright, our toaster pastries are out of the oven. They are nice and cool. I'm going to take my lovely little cinnamon, and I'm going to drizzle some right on the top. Now, you can toast these so that they're nice and brown. I like to keep mine, I can put these into the toaster. I do these in the microwave. If you're going to toast them, put them into a toaster oven, not into a toaster. Just saying, even if you sealed it up well. Let's give it a taste. They really do. In fact, they taste better than the store-bought toaster pastries. These are really, really good. I want to stress this. I would eat these things all the time. They are fantastic. Why I don't make these more often, I have no idea. You can make these and have your own toaster pastries all the time. They're homemade, they have less preservatives in them. I absolutely love it. If you make these, let me know. You can get a hold of me on most social media at CM Coleman Home. Don't forget to check out my latest playlist, and you can see what things I've been up to, because every Monday through Saturday it's something different. On Friday it is always a sweet treat, so that you can make something great for this weekend. This would be one of those great things for the kids to wake up to, or even you. They're great late night treats. I'm not saying that I have them late at night. I do. I'll admit it. 100%. I have these late at night. They are so, so good. If you make these also, you can leave me comments, ideas, or suggestions down in the comment part. Don't forget to subscribe, because that way you can keep up with what I'm doing. I'm probably repeating myself because I've been doing this all morning, and it's sort of one of those great moments where you just do those sort of things. And as always, remember, running your house doesn't have to be a full-time job. Turn it into a hobby and have some fun.